there. Welcome to another episode of Let's Get Naked. So, this is the first of possibly many coming clean episodes where I share with you something that feels a little edgy, a little vulnerable, um, but the commitment here in Let's Get Naked is to telling the truth as I see it and inviting my guests and my viewers to turn toward and touch sometimes that very vulnerable truth within us so that we can live fully expressed, authentic lives. And so this coming clean episode, which is brand new, something I'm trying out. So if it doesn't work out, we'll just 86 it. I get to do that because this is my podcast. But this coming clean episode is, whew, like the title suggests, where I'm sharing with you the recognition that I am a fraud. Okay. And I'm showing up here on purpose. It's a Saturday afternoon. I went on a long ass walk after a long ass morning meditation, sort of self reflection thing that I do in the mornings. And I just came on here to share this with you as I am. Hair looking all greasy and shit, no makeup, whatever. Um, because this idea I am a fraud um, stemmed from, it's sort of what was revealed to me, if you will, in a dream last night, and then I reflected on it this morning. But this idea, I am a fraud, um, stems from what I have come to understand is true for many of us, especially those of us who have a public image of in some form, whether you are running a company and there's a lot of people that are relying on you, you've got a lot of responsibility, maybe just as the leader or the head of your household, maybe you're an influencer, maybe you're a celebrity, right? And for those of us that are visible in the public eye, one of the sort of underlying currents that I've come to be personally aware of, and I'm inviting us to examine together if this resonates with you, an undercurrent is this sort of fraud or imposter syndrome, it's sometimes called, that is like, leaving us, causing us this fear and anxiety and things like the fear of being found out as not being who we say we are, right? Um, so for me, I'm just going to talk about myself. About 3 years ago, it's 2023 currently, it's the end of 2023. So about 3 years ago, I was in a relationship, I had a coaching business, and on the surface, things were going great. But deep inside of me, something was awry. And rather than investigating at a deep level what was out of alignment, I just continued on the path that I was in that relationship and doing that and having my coaching business. Both of those disintegrated. What in the heck was that? That's a celebration that both of those disintegrated. And so they came to a conclusion in a way that was very, it was shocking and unpleasant for me. Let's just say it was the demise of that relationship and that coaching business were highly unpleasant for me. It felt like a loss. I felt like a failure. I felt like I was at the bottom of a dark pit of suck. And while I very much was in feeling despair and disappointment, to say the least, and grief and sadness and anger and shame, lots of shame, all of the things in this deep pit of suck, the dark hole of suck. I didn't hang out there very long, right? I credit the um, my ability to sort of get over things and get myself back to center. I credit many years of doing the healing work and developing my own process for self-healing, returning self to center, where instead of like stewing in the shit, the circumstances being the source of my negative emotions, right? Instead of dwelling in that perception of the situation, I'm able to turn it around, see myself as source, get myself back to center, feel the feelings, right? Those feelings are legit. It's not about skipping on over them, to get over them as fast as possible. That's not what I'm referring to here. But I've developed a system that allows us to feel the situation fully, and so then it dissipates of its own accord pretty rapidly, which is a cool thing. So I was in it, and I used my tools, my system, to get myself back to center, and and start myself back on a path of like birthing a new business, if you will, a new version of myself, because that's what that distortion was prior to the crash and burn of that relationship and that business. That's what that urge within me was. It was the urge to expand, to grow, to become a new version of myself, but I ignored it and stayed the course, and even sort of doubled down on what I was creating, which everything I believe, everything happens exactly perfectly, even if it doesn't appear that way before our eyes. It's honoring and responding. The circumstances, the universe is responding to our greatest desire. I'm putting my hand on my heart and on my gut here, right? Because our greatest desire is true within us, and it's the desire of a deeper knowing. And so our head, our ego, our intellect doesn't always perceive the circumstances as favorable. But that thing within us, the spirit, the soul, what inner being, however you want to call it, intuition, always knows what's up, right? There's always alignment occurring with that inner being or that higher self, right? Because that higher self isn't immersed like our ego and our body and our mind, our intellect is not immersed in good, bad, right, wrong, wanted, unwanted. All of these concepts are egoic concepts, which I spoke about in the last podcast. Ego is not the enemy. If you want to check that out, I'll link it up here. Um, But the higher self is always aligned and always moving us to the fulfillment, the physical fulfillment of that great desire, that soul desire. So, all of that being said, um, the demise of that relationship, the demise of that business, based on the urge for more, the urge for expansion within me, led me then, in the last 2 years now, to reiterating my body of work. I stepped away from my coaching business. I was forced away from it, but I was able to see it as an opportunity and was like, all right, well, what is it now? Who am I now? What is the brand? What is the offering? What is it, right? What's my highest and best here? And there were many attempts at articulating what it is, who I am now and who I'm here to support, and how I'm going to roll out that way. And there were a lot of like throwing that spaghetti strand up against the wall, and it would stick for a second and then it'd fall down, if you get what I'm saying, right? And so over the last 2 years, there's been a lot of figuring it the fuck out in my world, and not a lot of sure-footedness. right? Not a lot of certainty that I can stand firm and say, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and this is who I help, right? There had not been a lot of that. In fact, it was the opposite. It felt like every time I got it, that spaghetti strand, I'm like, ooh, this is it, right? I threw it up against the wall and I took that step forward. I articulated some shit, and then that footing wasn't sure. It was close, but it was wobbly. It wasn't clear. It didn't feel like a wholehearted fuck yes coming from me, out into the world, out of my heart, out of my throat, my mouth, into this world. And so, over these last 2 years, I have not been generating revenue in my business, which then started to, and so I'll just say, I didn't expect it to take as long as it did to be birthed. Okay. And so I was living on my savings, and that got smaller and smaller and smaller. And so as that was happening, I started to experience a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear. The money is running out is the correlating story to that. And I have a history with that pattern. I have a history with that pattern with men. And of course, because I am very much a detective, right? I'm like the philosophical Sherlock Holmes. I always want to get to the bottom of what's going on, right? Um, because I need to know. I need to know the truth of the motherfucking matter, right? And that's that's what makes me great at what I do when I work with my clients is I can see through the situational or surface stuff to dip into that unknown, unseen, unarticulated territory to help them see the bigger picture so that they can adjust and align themselves to their highest and best and most authentic expression, right? So I'm fucking great at that. Maybe even the best in the world. But um in my own world, there had started to be a lot of uncertainty. And also being empathic, one of the things that those of us who are sensitive to situations, to energy, to emotions, all of this, like when we were young, we learned to be safe. We needed to be certain about what was happening in the environment around us. And so, so here I was articulating an expression of myself, call it the marketing or the messaging or the branding of my new body of work, right? That wasn't quite right, and wasn't, we'll call it not fully authentic, not maliciously, right? I wasn't trying to lie to anyone. It just wasn't true in my bones what I was saying about me and about my work. Okay. So here I am lying, and I use that word dramatically, but not being fully expressed or fully authentic with my marketing, my messaging, and multiple iterations of that, while my money is running out and I'm feeling a whole lot of uncertainty. So a whole lot of instability or not feeling safe, not feeling grounded, and trying to now create something that serves others at a deep soul level. Okay. So as you can tell, that's a lot of fucking chaos within which to create something along the lines of the work that I do. So this fear, this uncertainty, this lack of authenticity, this feeling like a fraud because my money is running out. I don't have like the big buoyant bank account that I am used to having, and here I am again, right? Because that has historically been a pattern of mine. Okay, so all of that happening as I'm creating something that is designed to help people be fully expressed, authentic, in every way, aligned, head and heart, body and mind, soul and public image, those of us that are rocking this public image thing, and afraid of being found out. And I'll say this about it. It wasn't conscious. Like, this is not what I'm sharing with you now wasn't conscious to me. Now, am I aware of the things that I just articulated to you? Absolutely. I do not have my head in the sand like an ostrich. Um, And I also know that what we give our attention to is what expands. So I also wasn't putting all of my attention on what wasn't working or, the fears of financial strain and stress, right? Occasionally those would come up and it would feel very fucking real. But more often than not, my attention is on what I'm creating, my authenticity, who I'm being, what I'm offering, who I'm serving, things of that nature. Okay, excuse me. So what I'm just sharing with you, what I've just come clean about was existing at a subconscious level. It was super subtle. And it was shown to me last night in a dream, because that's what dreams do. They show us what's going on down below the surface. And as that was shown to me, and as I reflected on it this morning, here's what I learned. And this, I'm stealing this sentence directly from Sarah Landon, who has a podcast called The Journey of the Master, I think. Journey of the Master podcast, Sarah Landon. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But what she says is if we resist anything, we resist everything. Let me say that again. When we resist anything, we resist everything. Okay? So I had this super subtle, subconscious fear of being found out. Okay? Call it like an imposter syndrome, the fraud stuff in my subconscious. And I don't know about you, but prior to today, I considered being a fraud a very bad thing, right? You kind of relate it to a fake or a liar. Okay, like those are the sort of qualities or energies that I, prior to today, attached to that fraud or imposter idea. Okay, so in my reflection this morning, that's what I investigated. Oh, fuck, I am a fraud on some subconscious level. It's true. It's in me. This energy exists within me. My subconscious, my dream state showed me. So I'm not going to try to deny it because that would be doing the same thing I did 3 years ago in that relationship and with my business, right? I just denied it and doubled down on like staying the course or focusing on the positive or making it work. You know what I'm talking about? So I faced it and I said, yes, okay, I am. I accept I am a fraud. Okay. And rather than rejecting that aspect of me, um, by judging it and criticizing it and giving it the no, I am not, motherfucker, right? Like, no, let me just accept that this is alive within me, and let me, rather than reject it, love it. Okay, which sounds completely counterintuitive to, maybe not counterintuitive, counter intellectual. It doesn't make sense to our intellect to love something that comes with this liar energy. But I did. Okay. It's why I can show up here with you and call myself out, come clean. I am a fraud, because I am a fraud is just the flip side to the coin. I am authentic. Okay. I am a liar and I am honest are just the two sides of that coin. Okay? I am a fake and I am real are just the opposite ends. Okay? It's just one energy. We humans, our egos, judge good and bad. So I went beyond that duality of the ego and went to the center of it. The truth is, I am all of that. Okay? So if I am all of that, since I am all that is, right? Ultimately, I am that. I am. And because I am all that is, I am a fraud and I am authentic. I am a liar and I am honest. I am a fake and I am the real deal, right? And once we can experience that from a neutral place, no longer attaching ourselves to one end of that continuum or one side of that coin and rejecting or denying the flip side, right? Out of judgment, out of this duality, out of good, bad, right, wrong. Like as long as we can get beyond all of that and recognize we are all that is. I am all that is. I am the isness, and the isness is infinite, which means all things is in it, are in it. Okay? So we neutralize that negativity by accepting it. And for me, excuse me, for me, love and acceptance are the same thing. So I love I am a fraud. I love I am a liar. I love I am a fake just as much as I love I am authentic. I love I am honest. I love I am real. Right? In so doing, there is no more resistance within me as it relates to that thing. Sure, there's more. But I have chosen to give up the resistance, consciously, deliberately release the resistance. And like Sarah Landon says, if you resist anything, you resist everything. So I deliberately gave up the resistance around that one thing. I am a fraud. Okay. Um, and I trust, I know that that's all there is to do with this. Okay. The story is going to continue to unfold, and I'm sure I'll share more with you. But I wanted to come on here as I am, um, you know, unfiltered, raw, real, not holding anything back, to share with you this experience as it relates to authentic sharing, right? This whole podcast, Let's Get Naked, is about real, raw, and sometimes risque conversations about reality, about consciousness, right? Stripping ourselves down, inclusive of the stuff that we might be in resistance to, the parts of us that we think are ugly or unacceptable, right? It's about taking a look at those honestly, vulnerably, facing ourselves and all of our facets, and and just seeing what shows up, just seeing what comes up from all of that. So I invite you to ask or inquire for yourself, what might you be resisting? And I promise you, I've been doing that deliberate conscious work for a while now. And so what was revealed to me in the dream, I mean, maybe I could have gotten to in this waking state of investigating, but maybe you ask your subconscious as you're falling asleep tonight to show you, right? Maybe it comes through in a dream like it did for me. And I'll share with you in a minute what the dream was. Um, but maybe you um, assign this assignment to your subconscious. Show me what I'm resisting so that I can accept it, love it, and release it. Okay? So this whole journey is about self-acceptance and self-love and about expressing ourselves authentically and fully in this world. Because what else the fuck is there to do? Anyway, all right, just real quick, I'll share with you what I was shown in the dream. So in the dream, in the dream, I was shown how I have in the last couple of years, especially, and again, this is where it was so subtle, it's been so normalized, I didn't even realize it. But in this dream, I was like filtering all of my photos. Which I do, right? The Instagram filters or whatever I share in my social media and things of that nature. I haven't really shared some, but very few photos that aren't filtered. So in this dream, I was like on my phone filtering my photos because I was like, oh, I can't let them see me just the way that I am. I don't know who they is, right? But that was the thought in my mind, in my dream. And I had my phone in my hand and I was filtering. And in that moment, I woke up. And when I woke up, that dream was still there. Like I could still see it, feel it, experience. It's like it had, you know how dreams are when you wake up from them, while you're in them. It's like it's real. Well, when I woke up, all of that information was there, and the recognition, this is the fraud. This is fraudulent. I am a fraud, was there for me as well. So it was the information from the dream and then the waking up to the story, the belief about myself that was living at a subconscious level. Okay. That then had me go, oh, fuck. A, I do that with my photos. And B, if I were found out, the stuff that I told you earlier in this video, like, how would that make me look? And so I sat with it and I reflected on it and I got to a place of acceptance. It's just what's so, right? And and I'm okay with it. There's nothing wrong here. This is part of the path. Okay? The part of the path that I previously had been judging and suppressing and unknowingly hoping no one would find out. Um, and so that's what came up, to be loved and expressed. And so the invitation is for you to do the same. All right. Until next time. Bye.